Warning! The executions of Danganronpa are highly disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back, fellow followers of Hope and Despair. I am DK Guillotine, and I got a haircut. Can you tell? It's pretty damn obvious. But welcome back to another Danganronpa video on my channel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time. I've been wanting to start this for a long time. I had the plan to do this after I think the second character ranking. I wanted to go through and rank all of the executions from the original trilogy. I'm gonna keep this one to the original trilogy. I'm not gonna do Ultra Despair Girls or Danganronpa 3 for this one. For this one, it's only gonna be the original trilogy of Danganronpa games. Now, I am super looking forward to this. We are ranking every single one, but of course we're going to do this just like I did the character rankings. We're going to do each of them in an individual video. I'm not sure if I'm going to try and keep it like on a weekly basis. I'm going to just try to go, I'm just going to roll with it, go with the punches, and this should be a ton of fun. I'm super looking forward to this because obviously the executions are the creme de la creme of Danganronpa. That's its bread and butter. That's its big thing, is the executions, and that is one of the things that I love so much about it, and I'm really looking forward to this. Of course, today we are doing the Trigger Happy Havoc executions. We're only going to be doing the official executions. I know some of the concept executions are technically official. They were actually came up with, and they were intended to be maybe used in the game, maybe when it was originally in development with the whole distrust and whatnot, but I am only going to be doing the standard executions, although I will say this, if I was doing the concept executions, Kiyotaka's would definitely get an S tier, because I love that one. But without further ado, I'm super looking forward to this. Let's jump into this. This is my ranking of all of the Trigger Happy Havoc Danganronpa executions. Let's fucking do this, baby. And we're starting off with, of course, Jin Kirigiri's execution. This is Blast Off. And in my opinion, this execution is the perfect introduction to Danganronpa. This is how they kick off Danganronpa in both the anime and the game. It is a perfect opening scene, in my opinion. I absolutely love this scene. This scene, immediately, the second you start Danganronpa, gets you so hooked. You're immediately like, what the hell did I just watch? Holy crap, that was fucking awesome. I totally want to continue with this game, or continue with this anime, depending on whichever one you go. Personally, I'm a Danganronpa fan that personally thinks the anime is very, very solid, and it's definitely not a downgrade from the game personally. So I personally say, if you do want to go the way of the anime, it's totally fine. You know, playing Danganronpa is a very, very, very long experience. It takes a very long time to get through the whole game. So if you really just want to go for the anime, I personally say it's completely fine, obviously. But I love the fact that both ways it does start with Jin Kirigiri's execution, because it's just a perfect way to introduce you to the franchise. This embodies the entire psychopop aesthetic of Danganronpa. You have like this really fucked up situation. Like, it's kind of like Saw if Saw was goofy and also in an anime. And that's what I really, really love about Danganronpa. And this is definitely one of the biggest examples of this, how you kind of start off with like this very dark room, and then it turns on, and you have Monokuma just sitting there, pushes the button, and the freaking spaceship comes up and it closes in on him, and it goes in. And then I love when it comes back down. The moment that really freaked me out in this execution, I do think it's pretty disturbing, him like being tied up and then it like zooming in on his face. He's like, ah! Like, it's definitely a very disturbing. There's a lot of disturbing imagery in this execution, but definitely the creme de la creme in this execution is definitely the final shot of the bones falling down from the top of the spaceship. So I've always really, really loved this execution. Personally, I think it works perfectly as the introduction to the franchise, and I'm gonna give this one an S tier. This is definitely one of my favorite executions of the series. I just think it's so disturbing, and I can't think of a better way to introduce this franchise. So, that is an S tier for Jin Kirigiri's execution. Alrighty, Leon Kuana's execution, 1,000 blows. Dude, there's no suspense here. You guys know this is my favorite moment of Danganronpa. This is my favorite scene in all of Danganronpa. I have nothing bad to say about this execution. It is so awesome. This execution kicks so much ass. This execution is literally a saw trap in anime. That is what this execution is, and I love it from beginning to end. I love how this execution opens, where you have Leon there and all the characters around him with this very dejected look on, with this very dejected look on their faces, because, you know, they know that Leon killed Sayaka, and then you have the freaking chain come out of the elevator shaft and grabs him. I love that it zooms in on the little button, and it goes from, and it says in use on it, and then it cuts to him being dragged down the hallway. This entire execution, man, this is the moment that solidified Danganronpa as my favorite franchise. I just love everything about this execution. It is so fucked up, but so awesome, so, like, just amazingly demented. I have zero negative things. This, I will spoil it right now, this is the only execution in this entire series that will be receiving an S+, because this is the quintessential Danganronpa moment in my personal opinion. I just love it. Alrighty, Motorcycle Death Cage, Mondo Awada's execution. Okay, this is a very divisive one. Some people really love this one, some people really hate it. I'm a little bit in the middle, personally. This one has always split me down the middle with this one. This is, of course, the execution where Mondo gets turned into butter, and then he gets eaten by Monokuma on pancakes. It's a very goofy and creative execution, although it's not, like, entirely creative, because it is based off of an old book, a book that I believe is actually somewhat racist, so I'm not really sure why they decided to base it on that, but this execution is somewhat cool. Like, I do kind of enjoy it. I do kind of like the whole thing in the beginning, where it kind of starts off as like a wheel, and it's like comes up, and then it like reveals them at the top there. Always really like that part, and I like that like Monokuma like jumps off of it, he gets sent into the freaking the motorcycle cage, just to start spinning around, and then it zooms out, it like electrifies up, and I gotta admit, man, I can't imagine how horrifying it would be to go through this execution, man. Like, a lot of them are pretty damn horrifying to think about actually putting yourself in that, but that one, oh my god, what the hell would that feel like? What on earth would it feel like to literally be turned into butter? Now, it has been debunked that this wouldn't actually work. A lot of Danganronpa fans have debunked this, that it wouldn't actually work, and the closest thing it would get is to like a guacamole type dealio. I don't know, you can look into that on your own time, but there's a lot of people have kind of gone in on it and looked into it and see if it would actually work. They kind of like done the math on it, but I do kind of like this execution. It is very fucked up, and the fact that Kiyotaka had to watch this all go down, I can definitely see why him watching his friend have to be killed like that would do what it did to him, because holy shit, man, that's a really messed up way to go. It's certainly not my favorite execution in the entire franchise, and it's probably my least favorite execution of Trigger Happy Havoc. But I do still somewhat like this one. I mean, it is a little bit weird that they did base it off of an old book that apparently I haven't actually read the old book, but I have heard that is not like the most, like that book is kind of offensive. So, I don't know. I think it's called Little Black Sambo, I believe. But I do personally kind of like this execution. I think it's very over the top, and it definitely is very fucked up, and it does match the whole psychopop aesthetic of Danganronpa. So, I will go ahead and give this execution we'll go with a B tier. I have always somewhat enjoyed this execution. I do think it is very creative, and it definitely is pretty fucked up. So yeah, B tier for this one. Alright, Versailles Style Wish Burning, Celestia Ludenberg's execution. This is one that had to grow on me, because the first time I watched this one, the first couple times I saw this was honestly probably one of my lesser favorites, because it's very weak compared to the others. There's not a lot going on. Like all that happens in this execution is Celeste gets lit on fire, and then she gets psyched out, and then gets hit with a fire truck. Now, the first time I saw this, I didn't really care for it all that much, because I didn't get what it was going for. Now, I get what it's going for. And in case you don't, if you're watching watching this and you never looked into this execution, looked into why the Monokuma went with this way of killing Celeste, it's actually very cool. I'm gonna put my list down here for a second. It's actually a very, very, very cool thing that they did with execution, because the whole thing with Celeste before she was executed, when all of the jigs was up, when she revealed her true identity and her true accent, and she revealed that her greatest wish that she always really wanted to go, like, she wanted to go out she wanted to go out in a very spectacular fashion. Like, she was all like, I'm ready to be executed. I hope I can, like, get some really cool high concept death, because, you know, she probably saw the other two were like, man, I'm very interested in getting a really cool death like this. And then it actually happens, and I bet at first she seemed very happy with the execution. You know, she gets the whole, I love the whole, everything of, like, the stones coming up like that, and then she gets lit on fire, and she's just standing there, and it zooms in on her face, and she's actually, like, smiling as she's, like, sweating. She, in that moment, probably thought she was gonna get a pretty epic death and was probably pretty happy with her execution. And then what happens is, of course, Monokuma brings out the fire truck and just hits her with a fire truck. The reason this execution works so well is because Celeste wanted to go out like that, and getting hit by an automobile is literally like the #1 cause of death ever. And like, it happens so often. Like, I don't want to seem like insensitive or anything, but I'm pretty sure getting hit by an automobile is actually like the most common death ever. And the fact that Celeste was shown this execution that she was like super happy with, probably only to get hit, only to be killed by the most common thing to kill people literally ever, she probably, her despair level was probably at an all-time high. It certainly isn't as fucked up as a lot of the other executions in the franchise, but it definitely served its purpose in filling Celeste with as much despair as possible. And Celeste is definitely a character that I bet Junko probably had a bit of trouble with filling her with despair, because she was just a very difficult character to kind of penetrate her walls, because she was basically like the ultimate liar, of course. So it was probably a bit of a challenge, but I think what they did was pretty fucking brilliant, and as a result, I really like this execution. And there's also some really great like imagery in this execution. I love the shot of her standing there when the fire truck like comes at her, and then it like all blazes up for a second there. Really, really amazing shot. And then the final little bit at the end of Monokuma just putting out the little torch that's left. I really, really do like this execution a lot. This is one that had to grow on me, but now that it has, I am personally a big fan of this execution, and I'm gonna go ahead and give Versailles Style Witch Burning an A tier. I personally do quite dig this one, so A tier for Celeste's execution. Alrighty, Dozermaster. That's what it's called in the anime. I forgot what it was called in the game. Might have been called the same thing. I forget. It's of course Alter Ego's execution. Now, admittedly, this execution is literally just an excavator smashing a laptop. But it is kind of a fun execution. I really like the like heavy guitar going on in the back. I like that he kind of turns it into like a Monokuma ball at the end. Like the shovel just goes over it, lifts up, and it's like a Monokuma ball with the lightning bolt eye. I do kind of like that. It was definitely a surprising scene. I definitely was not expecting Alter Ego to go out like that. I thought maybe he was going to get caught, but I wasn't expecting him to bring him out as the execution. I thought he was going to do something else. I'm not really sure exactly what he was going to do, because, you know, the blackened in chapter 4 was Sakura, who was already dead because, you know, she committed suicide. But I do like this execution. I can't lie. It is kind of cool, although I have no idea how the hell Junko managed to survive this one in the ultimate punishment. But I personally do like this one. You know, once again, it is basically just an excavator smashing a laptop. But hey, that's pretty extreme if you ask me. So yeah, pretty cool. Once again, I do like that heavy guitar going on in the background. So I'll go ahead and hit Dozermaster. Let's go with a B. Nah, we'll go with a B minus, I think. Do I like it as much as Motorcycle Death Cage? I'd say I like it a little bit less than Motorcycle Death Cage. Although, you know what? Let's say B tier. I'd say it's about on par with Motorcycle Death Cage. It's a pretty fun execution in my opinion. So yeah, I'll say B tier for Dozermaster. Alrighty, time for one of my personal favorite executions, Detention, or After School Lesson. This is, of course, Jin Kirigiri / Makoto Nayagi's execution, and I fucking love this execution, and I will tell you why. The reason I love this execution, the first time I saw this execution, I loved this execution, and I will confess that I did not get the bad ending. I actually went with Kyoko on my first try, so suck it, anybody who threw Kyoko under the bus in that, because I totally knew exactly what the fuck to do, because I loved Kyoko and didn't really care about Makoto all that much. So getting into this execution, the reason why I fucking love this execution. Now, I will address the fact that you guys know I'm a big Saw fan, and this execution is very Saw-like. This execution is pretty much just like, you could definitely see this execution in like a Saw movie. Like, I can literally see it right now, like someone being like in the chair and like having to like get out of that before they're brought into the fucking crusher thing at the end. I can definitely see that just straight up being in a Saw movie. But the reason I love this one is because of the imagery of this execution. It really feels like, cause at its core, Danganronpa is kind of like a messed up school type franchise. It is basically like, it doesn't do that very often. It doesn't really embody that very often. It really is kind of just the characters living their lives in the school. There's not really ever any like classes or any kind of like school symbolism in not school symbolism, like school things in the story that really care, except for in this execution. This execution is actually somewhat like related to like a demented school type thing. And I really like that about this execution. You know, you have the victim strapped in the desk, slowly being lowered in to the freaking crusher thing at the end. You could definitely see them getting filled with despair as it's going back, and I love the song. Oh my lord. You guys know I'm a metalhead, and holy shit, this might actually be, I don't know, man, I really love the Reach for the Stars song. I think the Reach for the Stars song is my favorite execution song, but this is probably my second favorite. I really, really love this one. That super heavy guitar riff. I've always really, really loved this execution. So I'm gonna give Detention an S tier, definitely. This is one of my favorite executions of the entire franchise. I just absolutely love this one. Like, this execution really feels like, does anybody remember that episode of Teen Titans that was about the, what was his name, Mad Mob? It was honestly probably my favorite episode of Teen Titans, of the original one, except for the whole, the Raven arc at the end of, season 3 or something like that. I don't know, I forget, it's been a long time. But the Mad Mob episode of Teen Titans, where he basically kidnaps the entire team, and they're in this kind of demented school type setting, kind of similar to Danganronpa, and that whole episode is kind of about like similar things. Like, I think there's even one where he actually is like doing almost this exact same thing to someone, although it is a little bit differently. I don't know, this really does feel like a Mad Mob type thing, and it kind of gave me flashbacks to that. I don't know, I just fucking love this execution, okay? I just really, really love this one. S tier in my opinion. This is one of my favorite executions of the entire franchise. It is just so fucking dope in my opinion. And finally, Ultimate Punishment, Junko and Oshima. Okay, part of me really likes the idea of Junko going through all of the executions and tanking them all. I really like the imagery of Junko going through all the executions and like dominating them. Like, oh, you guys are just a bunch of fucking pussies. Let me show you how it's done. And then watching her go through everything, you know, like batting away all the balls at like light speed and just sitting there like this as the motorcycle death cage is going around. And I do really, really enjoy it, and just standing there while the fucking excavator is just smashing her, although admittedly, how the fuck would anybody survive that? I bet that would probably kill you faster than Detention would. But still, I really do like all that symbolism with her. And then of course we finally get to see the Detention actually kill someone, which is pretty cool, because obviously we don't actually get to see it kill Kyoko in the bad ending, and in Makoto's ending, he obviously alter ego saves him at the last second. But this is the first time we actually get to see the Detention actually kill someone. And it is definitely, that is such a satisfying moment, obviously, because you know you're watching this and you know you do deep down you love Junko because she's an awesome fucking villain, but you still want to see the characters beat her, obviously, because that's, you know, that's just what you want. You want to see them take down Junko, obviously. So when this happens, and it's like this whole build-up, because they keep teasing the detention execution, never actually showing you again, never actually showing you it actually kills someone. The fact that we end Junko by actually finally getting to see the detention actually kill someone is pretty fucking awesome. Although I will admit, I think it could have been cooler to maybe come up with her own execution instead of going through all of the executions. I feel like it maybe would have been cooler if they could have come up with something a little more creative than just going through all of them. So part of me really loves this execution, and part of me is a little lukewarm on it. So I'm a little split down the middle, 50-50. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and give the ultimate execution, the ultimate punishment, I'm going to give this one an A- personally. I've always very much liked this as the ending, the final shot of the final little like event of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, of course, before they all open the door and walk out. But I do definitely think that there might have been potential to maybe create a more creative execution for the series' main big bad villain. So, but I do really like it. So A- for the ultimate punishment, and that is it. That is every single execution from Trigger Happy Havoc ranked. That was a ton of fun, guys. I hope you will join me in the Danganronpa 2 executions ranked video. That will definitely be coming your way in the near future. Super enjoyed doing this. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my rankings or do you not agree? Hey, feel free to let me know. Do you agree? Are you someone that doesn't really care for Leon's execution? I know they exist. I have watched basically every execution ranking video on YouTube, and I have seen some people say that they don't think Leon's execution is the best one ever. Although I have to be honest, like, I'm being facetious when I say this, okay? Your opinion is your opinion, but every single time I see someone put Leon's execution as anything but like the top 3, I'm always in my head immediately like, they're lying. They're lying to themselves. Once again, I'm just being facetious. That's how much I love that execution, dude. That's how much I fucking adore that scene in Danganronpa, because just every single time I see that execution not in like the top 3 or 5, I'm just immediately like, liar. But thank you all so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leave me a like and subscribe for more Danganronpa videos coming your way. And this is DK Guillotine, signing out.